Working friend. It's so good to see you today. Happy Friday. It is Friday and happy Friday the 13th. Dun, dun, dun. Welcome to a special edition of Networking Know-How, our weekly live training every Wednesday to help you network more effectively and stress-free like we do in our Down and Dirty Networking online community. Though we typically go live every Wednesday, you're getting a bonus and a special treat, live trainings every day through next Wednesday. Now, today I have something extra special for you because I've got two amazing women that I'm going to be talking to. And now, if this is your first time tuning in and we have not yet connected, I'm Laura Orlando, the Stress Commando, and I am the founder and CEO of Down and Dirty Networking. If you are watching live or on replay, please say hi in chat so I can acknowledge you and let me know where you're watching from. One of the best parts about what I do is connecting with people from all over the globe. So first things first, before I bring our special guests on stage, I want to invite you to type #sneak peek, #sneak peek in the comments. And I'm going to go ahead and put this up on a ticker for you so you guys can see it. So let me get this up. There, you guys should see it scrolling below. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure I've got chat visible. So interact with us in chat so we can see you. But you're going to want to go ahead and put #sneak peek in the comments. And when you do that, you're going to receive a personal invite to our next virtual sneak peek event happening next week. You do not want to miss this fantastic way to raise your vibrational energy and create momentum in 2023. So type #sneak peek to learn more. All right, so let's get into today's training and talk about our special guests that are coming on. Now, if you are watching live or on replay, let me know if you've ever struggled with the power of relationships. Let me know if for you relationships are more important to you than anything else professionally. And let me know if it's relationships or authentic relationships. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer authentic relationships? Do you prefer just a casual connection? What's the biggest importance for you? Let me know in the chat which one you prefer more and which one's more helpful for you. So definitely chime in. Oh, I see people watching live. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Engage with us in chat. Let us know where you're from. But let us know what your thoughts are on professional relationships. Are they helpful or would you prefer authentic professional relationships? Because that's what we're talking about today is authentic professional relationships. All right, so a couple of my special guests. So I'm joined today by two amazing women. And one of them is my very good friend, Meg Bell. She's the senior project manager in telecommunications and owner of Thad Bell Photography. She is also a social media guru, and we are blessed that she is helping us here at Down and Dirty Networking with our social media content and video editing. And she's been doing a fantastic job. Now, how I got to know Meg. We met networking at the American Businesswomen's Association, ABWA, which though we were networking, ABWA is a professional development group, or as I call it, a Grow You group. And boy, did it grow me and continues to grow me. I've had the privilege of serving with Meg on the national board of ABWA. And again, we served together on the board of the American Businesswomen's Foundation. Now, also with us today is my good friend and founding member of Down and Dirty Networking, Meredith Miller. She is the vice president of Attack Basketball Academy. Now, Meredith and I know each other thanks to my husband, Darren, my ultimate networking partner. Meredith and Darren used to work together and he connected us. We hit it off and we have been growing our relationship since working on various projects together. We're also members of the ABWA together. And Meredith is by far the fastest taskmaster I have ever known. If you need something done and organized, Meredith is a whiz at this. I am better for knowing each of these ladies, and I am honored to call them dear friends. Now, before I bring them up, please make sure to put your questions, gratitude, and commentary in the comments and in chat so we can engage with you. Now, since I'm broadcasting with the Melon app, please give Melon permission on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, whichever way you're watching, so that we can see who you are and we can engage with you. All right, so let's go ahead and bring Meredith and Meg to the stage. So let me go ahead and get you. So there's Meg. Let me grab Meredith. Here we go. Here's Meredith. Welcome, ladies. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm curious. So, ladies, what else would you like to share about how we met and built this amazing relationship? So, Meredith, why don't I start with you?
Well, yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it on the head as far as Darren being the liaison for our meeting. But yeah, I think we bonded over our both of the fact the fact that both of us speak really fast. And I was like, "Oh, this is my kindred spirit."
That's awesome. That's true. We do. Yeah. I think that came up last night. We were at an event talking about how I'm always having to slow my roll, and I've heard that all my life.
Yeah,
Nothing new.
exactly. Same.
Nothing new. Meg, what about you? Anything else you'd like to add about how we've met and known each other and built our amazing relationship?
Nothing really to add. I just building upon we met with ABWA. It's been 9, 10 years, something like that, and we continue to be together in so many ways. And like Laura mentioned, I'm being brought into Down and Dirty Networking to help out with some of the back of the scenes things, which is very, very exciting. So yeah, we started that relationship and we're continuing to build it all the time.
I love that. I love that. And that's what's going to make this conversation so unique. So if you're watching, you guys are really in for a treat, whether you're watching live or on replay. So Meredith is a founding member, as I mentioned in her introduction, and Meg is not yet a member of Down and Dirty Networking, though she is helping us on the back end, like she just said. So you guys are going to be able to get a really cool perspective from both of these ladies, and I think you're going to learn a lot today. All right, so ladies, our topic today is who is a down and dirty networker, and you guys have titled this specifically for relationships, but let's talk about what it is and what it means to be a down and dirty networker. And since we are 100% focused on relational networking, what does relational networking mean to you? And how important are authentic professional relationships for the both of you? So, Meg, I'll start with you.
Okay. Well, relational networking, I take that first word, relational, and it's relationship. To me, you can't really, I don't think you can effectively work with somebody, and I'm in the corporate space, so I have to work with all kinds of different people, but you need to build some kind of relationship with that person. You certainly hope it's an authentic relationship. I think if it's not, you're going to find out sooner or later, and it could be quite detrimental to whatever it is you're working on with that person. But yeah, it's definitely building a relationship with that person so you can work effectively, and because you never know when your paths are going to cross again. You're going to continue to work together for years, however it works. Starting with a relationship is building a foundation with that person. Again, whether you work with them forever or never again.
That's really powerful. I love that. It's a one-off. Buddy agrees. So that's a vote of confidence right there. Buddy agrees. And it's about those relationships. It's about working with someone for a season or for a lifetime. I mean, you never know where that relationship is going to go. So I think that's a really valid point, Meg. So I really appreciate that. So yeah, I love that Buddy's chiming in on this, Meredith. But now that we know what Buddy thinks, Meredith, you're a beautiful little dog. What do you say? What is relational networking to you? And why is it important to have authentic relationships?
So yeah, obviously our relationship is authentic when we're, my dog and we're doing a live and he chimes in. But yeah, no, when it comes to relational networking, I think that it's something that, you have certain relationships, and you have like kind of, I guess if you want to categorize them, you have, like acquaintance type of things. And then you have some relationships that are a little bit closer. And then you have the people that are inside what my mentor likes to call your hula hoop, which is, the people that are like the closest to you. And so I think that you can't really form authentic relationships with everybody that you meet. I think that's pretty much impossible. But, you have those people that you can form those relationships with that are, like I said, inside that hula hoop. And then those people are like everything, and so what's so amazing is that, whether that's personal or professional, then that, helps to grow you and helps to grow those people. And, to have, and I guess to speak on authentic, somebody to me like that you can be completely vulnerable with, and that, they can be completely vulnerable with you. And because that's where the growth comes in, knowing that my vulnerability will allow that person to speak into me, and, and vice versa. And so that's why I think that definitely, I think most people want to grow when it comes to the professional standpoint. And, really by having those authentic relationships, to me, is what allows that to happen.
Oh, I love that. And I think what your mentor said is absolutely spot on, Meredith. I mean, it absolutely is spot on. And I love that visual of the hula hoop. I think that's incredible. That's a good one. Of course, I don't know that I could hula hoop right now.
I know. I was thinking that. I was totally thinking that.
I used to love to hula hoop. I used to love to hula hoop, and I used to love to do, when you would throw it and make sure that it could spin back to you. Did you guys ever do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I had this strong desire to see if I could do that again. That's so funny. When was the last time you hula hooped?
Oh my gosh. Probably a couple of years, because I think I've done it with my kids randomly at a festival or something. But when my daughter was in circus class, I would watch the lady, and she would do 10 hula hoops at the same time.
Wow.
So yeah, that was always fun.
Yeah. So I'm sure people are listening are going, wait, did she just say circus class? So for me, that's common because I know this, right? So this is the power of authentic relationship. I know these things. But yes, there's such a thing as circus class. So Meredith, you want to kind of explain what circus class is really quickly? Because I'm sure people are going, wait, Laura, don't just pass over that. What is that?
I usually explain to people, okay, when you see Cirque du Soleil and they do the performances on the silks and things like that. So that's what, those long pieces of fabric that you can climb up and do tricks on. So yeah, that's what she was doing for a couple of years, was that she was doing performances and practice on the silk. So it's interesting because a lot of their practices, they have to do different dance type of moves, and they have to be able to do the splits and be very flexible. So they do that for an hour, and then they have to go up on the silks and do all the stuff. So yeah, she was in very, very good shape.
Okay, so my hands are clammy just thinking, and I've seen the images of her climbing those silks, and so being afraid of heights, that's where the clammy, I'm like, oh, it's already just kind of naturally getting to me. But it's beautiful, and yeah, you're going to be in amazing shape. She's in amazing shape to be able to do it. But yeah, that's what circus class is, which is kind of awesome. I'm glad you shared that with me previously. Thanks for sharing with everyone here in case they know. Now, I see a couple of you guys online watching live. Chime in and ask your questions. And even if you're watching on replay, chime in on chat, because I'll make sure that myself or any one of Meg or Meredith, I'll make sure that they are tagged in the message and they can answer it for you. So make sure to chime in if you've got some questions for either one of these ladies. So Meg, I didn't want to let you off the hook here. So when was the last time you hula hooped?
I was trying to remember, and I'm sure I've done it with my daughter too, probably at a Girl Scout thing or school carnival or something. So it's still been a few years ago. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I was thinking about when you're talking about how you throw it in the air and it comes back. That makes it authentic hula hoop, right?
That's funny.
It's coming back to you.
Oh my gosh, that is Meg. What a great way to bring it full circle hula hoop.
Oh my
Something you never thought you'd talk about was an authentic hula hoop.
See, that's going to be the thing. And anyone watching is going to be able to know that. They're going to be like, authentic hula hoop. That's really it. As we're talking about questions. Well done, Meg. That's a good one. I love that. Okay. So let's talk. So I asked you the question about relational networking, but what I failed to do is really explain the difference for anyone watching. So for those that are watching, and this is your first time tuning in with us, or maybe you're not familiar with what we're talking about here, what I have learned through the years is that there's two types of networking, and I call the one-way relational networking. What most everybody knows is traditional networking. In traditional networking, or also known as transactional networking, you typically are transacting leads, sales, or job offers. It's like, hi, my name is, here's my pitch to hire, buy my thing, give me a lead, and then you're kind of moving on. And so that, in the corporate space, it might be give me a promotion, get me on that special project where you're kind of, some people will call it schmoozing. But that's typically what people think of when they think of networking. And
Mhm.
what I have come to realize is that there are a lot of people that dislike networking. It's valuable in that space. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but a lot of people are like, oh, what a chore. I don't want to do this anymore. And so that's what I had heard. And that was kind of where I was coming with. And you guys know my story, and anyone who's watched has known my story. But you've had this. I realized that I needed more. I wanted community. I wanted to really lean into relationships. And what I realized, and I spoke on and taught on for years, was how to change your networking attitude. See, I believe networking is a skill, it's an activity, and it's an attitude.
Mhm.
And it's the attitude that makes everything different. And so if you have an attitude of buy my stuff, sometimes you repel people. But if you flip that attitude, or what can I learn from you? What can I learn about you? How can I build a relationship with you? That's where the magic really happens. And I've come to call that relational networking. And so when I pivoted my business online after autoimmune and Lyme diagnosis, I really wanted community. I really wanted access, but I didn't want all the fluff of traditional networking. I wanted relational networking discussions. I wanted it to be 100% about that and zero fluff. And I couldn't find that experience, so I created it. So when we're talking today about relational networking, we're talking about building having meaningful conversations to build lasting relationships, to learn from someone and about someone. If you think about it, that can happen anywhere. And these ladies were just definitely talking about that as far as what that looks like from an authentic perspective, whether it's in your day or at work. So, Meg, do you have anything to add to that? Now that I've kind of explained that, I guess I kind of did that backwards, but, kind of explained what it is. Do you have anything to add to
The hula
what?
hoops were more important than that,
That's right.
Yeah, and I have to say that I can't see who the person is, but someone on LinkedIn is saying yes, authentic hula hoop. So I think that's going to be the theme for the
Love
day
it.
is authentic hula hoops. And
Exactly.
maybe we can get some merch for that. I'm not entirely sure. We could definitely do that. But Meg, do you have anything to add with regards to relational networking now that I've more defined what it is and what it isn't?
Well, it definitely is new to me still. I've only known the word, the word networking, you hear it, and it just to me had one connotation, and that was, hi, I'm Meg. I do this. Good to meet you. All right. Hi, I'm Meg. I do this. Good to meet you. That was my whole idea, I guess, of networking, my whole vision, I guess. So as I've been working with Laura and Meredith and learning more about relational networking, it sounds so much better. I mean, I don't want to I'm not very good at just starting conversations with people, but at learning how to build a relationship with somebody that I need to talk to or that I want to talk to because I want to get to know them better. I'm very excited about learning how to do that. And it can go anywhere. For me in corporate, yeah, it could take me places there. For entrepreneur, definitely more than just, hi, how are you? This is what I do. So yeah, I've loved learning what relational networking means, and there is a big difference.
I love that. Thank you for showing that distinction. And LinkedIn is saying, great explanation. So they're liking that difference too. And it was so interesting when I asked people, what they thought of this. They said the same thing you just said, Meg. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know there would be another way, or that I could lean into this. Can you have a relationship minded, or what I say, relational networking mindset in traditional networking, combine my stuff conversations? Yeah, you can. That's how I developed it. That's how I started it. And I realized it was really effective. But what I've come to realize is, well, wait a minute, could I create a 100% relational networking experience? Could I leverage all of the things that I've been doing for 16 years, all the corporate trainings, formats, and things? How can I create an experience that is fun, innovative, and not, right? Where it's not, hi, my name is, I do this by my stuff. So that's kind of what we're doing here. And so, Meredith, to you, is there anything you'd like to add now that I've defined relational networking to kind of piggyback on what you said earlier or what Meg's been saying?
Yeah, the one big thing that came to mind was that this takes time to develop, for as far as these type of relationships. And it's not like it has to be you're spending 40 hours a week doing it, but like it does take time. And I'm like, what came to my mind when Meg was saying, hi, nice to meet you, my name is blah blah blah. Like, the people that like stand on the side of the road and they like hold a sign and they like spin it because they're trying to get you to come in for like an oil change or whatever. Like, that's totally transactional networking. Like, that's basically what it is. Like, it's like you going into a room holding a sign, and be like, look, this is what I do, like doing those circus tricks, right? And I mean, essentially that's what it is. It's like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am type of thing. And it's like, but if you want more, if you want those actual authentic relationships, like you have to be willing to put in the time, and you have to be willing to put in the energy to actually do that and develop those. Because I mean, no matter, what guru, you read, like that's what they're going to tell you, like that stuff takes time to grow.
Oh, I love that distinction, Meredith. Thank you so much for bringing that forward. I mean, it's incredibly valuable. But here's the beautiful thing, and you touched on this too. Both of you have touched on this. It's about having meaningful conversations to build lasting relationships. The relationship will come in time, but you can have a meaningful conversation instantly.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so I'm gonna piggyback on that because so Laura is an empath, and so she's very good, at like reading people's energy and connecting with people and all that. That was not me. And so I've worked on that over the years as far as being able to, be better at reading people and thinking about the other person first. But a lot of times, because of the fact that I am so task oriented, I was like, okay, whatever, like, okay, what do I need from you? Like, let's get this done, like, let's move on. And so I was more of that transactional person. And so, that is something that I've learned over the years. So, I mean, like now I do little stuff all the time with people that I want to cultivate relationships where I'll be like, hey, you know what, I remember, you said your husband was not feeling good. Like, how is he doing? Or, like, let me send you like a gift card because I did this with Laura's husband when he wasn't feeling good. I'm like, I sent them a DoorDash gift card so like they didn't have to worry about making dinner. I just do little stuff like that literally takes me like 2 minutes to do. But it's like me taking the time because I'm saying this relationship is important to me and I want it to be authentic and I want it to be long lasting. And so that's why I'm taking the time to do this.
And you do that. But so here's something I want to really, I mean, that's really being in tap with yourself and how you want to show up. Right. Mm-hmm. And so you not only did that and were incredibly gracious to me when Darren was sick and sent us that gift card, but it was a great way to show empathy in a task oriented way that's authentic to you.
Right. True.
And it completely helpful and appreciated. I mean, Darren and I were deeply moved by that. And so I think that is an interesting component. And it's so funny that, okay, now we're bringing it forward. Meredith, we were talking about this earlier, is that I heard a great quote today on the Networking Ninja show that I was on, and her guest, Michael, and I can't remember his last name, but I'll put it in there. I want to give him credit because he was brilliant. He was a brilliant guest, but he talked about the number one relationship you need to build is with yourself. You need to network with yourself before you can network with anybody else and provide any value, have a deep inner discussion to have a better outer discussion. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly it. And so Meredith, you had this great discussion of how you wanted to show up, how you wanted to be more empathetic and show that you cared, but you did it in a way that was authentic to you, that was still task oriented. I think that's beautiful. And I think that's super awesome. And another dimension of relational networking, which is why hearing Michael say that this morning just totally resonated with me. And so I really, really love that. Now, I kind of want to jump in there and kind of pivot to something that you said as far as being an empath. Yes, I'm an empath. And so I read energy all the time. And so what was so interesting to me is full confession. I was that person. Buy my stuff. I was that person. Sadly, I was. And the reason I was that person is I thought networking was selling. I was so wrong. So if you're watching, you think networking is selling, let me save you a world of grief. It has nothing to do with selling. But that's what I thought. And that's what the job that I had at the time. I was transitioning from international selling to local selling. The local selling manager said, do you know anything about leads, clubs, and networking? I want you to attend, and I want you to bring as many business cards as you can back with you. Okay. Done. I'm going to go do what you told me to do. I'm going to be Captain Literal. And so I did the thing. And it wasn't until I walked into an ABWA room that it was a coach. I don't remember her name, so I can't give her credit, but she put her arm around me. She's like, hey, let me show you the most effective way to get the most out of this organization in this room. I was like, okay. And she gives me all these tips, introduces me to people. And so on the way home, the way I do debriefing, what went right, what upgrades can I give myself? I was like, dang, she just corrected me in a really nice way without making, triggering me to feeling stupid. But I'm like, duh, I guess I was doing it wrong. And what I realized as I was kind of self-reflecting on all my behavior is the way I was showing up. I was like what Meredith, you said, trying to tell people to buy my stuff. But I feel like, and no disrespect to that poor person that's got the job at the counter with the perfume and is just, and everyone's always just kind of like avoiding them, during the holidays. But I felt like it was probably that person going, just tagging everybody without even really asking. I realized in that moment that was probably the person that I was. So it's something that I realized. And so I shifted what I was doing and kind of did that. So Meg, any other thoughts here as we're kind of going back and forth, and I'll come back to my other thought. Any other thoughts?
I think you're hitting the nails on the head there.
Oh, well, awesome. Thank you. So as an empath and as I shifted, so as I'm doing the buy my stuff, I was super stressed doing that because I'm an introvert. I'm an extreme introvert, actually. And so I will try and show up differently. And so as an introvert, that means that I expend energy when I'm with people. It just overstimulates me. And so I was in high stress because I was being inauthentic as who I was. I'm empathetic. I am very intuitive, and I'm more inquisitive and about building relationships as an introvert. Those are introvert superpowers, is about really having intentional and authentic relationships. But here I am by my stuff, tagging you and doing all these things. No wonder I had so much stress and really dreaded it and really hated it. And so when I shifted and realized there was a different way, let me lean into what I feel is more aligned with me, what's a little bit more authentic for me. And let me take this advice of this wonderful coach that was so gracious to pour into me. Everything changed. Nobody was running away from me. At first I thought he was very click oriented or something was wrong with me. I realized, I was showing up in a really obnoxious way. It's really what it was. So, all right. And on LinkedIn, they're saying, love that quote. Yeah, that's a good quote. I need to get the full quote exact so I can properly credit. I haven't had a chance to do that, but I'll put it in chat so you guys can have it and share it. I think it's an awesome quote. All right. So today you guys worked on what to title today's episode. And you guys titled the episode, The Power of Building Authentic Professional Relationships. So I'm curious, why are authentic professional relationships so important? And why did you feel the need to title the episode as we're talking about who is a down and dirty networking? Why do those two things somehow relate in your minds? Meg, I'll start with you.
Let me think here. Well, to me, no matter what you're doing, if you're in corporate, if you're an entrepreneur, or you're a stay-at-home person, but you still connect with people somehow, how are you going to get to know people so you know who to talk to, I guess? And then I was thinking about the authentic part. I mean, some people can act authentic, but eventually over time, you're going to know for sure if that person's really who they are and who they say as you try to build upon that relationship so that you can work together or just chat together or whatever it is that your end goal is with that person that you're talking to. Building the relationship is just, it's so key. I mean, you can meet people and start some kind of relationship with, maybe you're working on a project or something and you're like, yeah, we do our stuff and then we're done. And then they're gone. And it could have been that way with Laura and I when we first got on the ABWA National Board together. We could have, there were 9 of us, we could have all just, we're going to do our thing. We build a relationship for this period of time and then we're done. But I think the authentic part is Laura and I are still friends, and many of the people that we were on that board together are still friends because we built authentic relationships so that we can maintain. And if it's we worked on something together or we don't. Hopefully that made sense.
Said. No, totally makes sense and well said. And you're right. We could have just task check, moving on. And it wasn't that. It was a beautiful experience. I am forever grateful to have had. And I'm blessed to have had the access to all nine. I'm just so glad that I had that experience, and that, Meg, we're still in each other's lives
Mhm.
and doing other things and cheering each other on. It's beautifully said. Meredith, what about you? How would you connect the title, The Power of Building Authentic Professional Relationships, with who is a down and dirty networker? And this one, you might have a different perspective because you are
Mhm.
currently a
Right.
founding member of Down and Dirty Networking.
Because I've been there. Yeah. So I would say that was going to basically be my answer was, yeah, that the authentic relationships are what defines down and dirty networking. And the fact that, like, you used the word community earlier, you said you wanted to create a community. And I think that that's what it is, because, from going to a lot of traditional networking groups in the past, it's just very different. And, I've been here for, I guess 2 years now. And, it's like every meeting, like I'm excited to go, or, even if I'm like in the middle of doing something, I'm like, oh, the meeting's about to start. And, then I get there and then I'm present, and, just with the sharing that everybody does, and, the ideas that I get, and, just, the ideas that things spark, the conversations spark, because everybody is authentic. So, like, to me, that's why the authentic relationships was the important part of the title, was because that's what you get in the community. And so that's part one of the question. And then okay, so then the second part is, and I'm going to go back to the authentic part, and I'm gonna be authentic. I'm gonna be real. So so back, oh my gosh, so Laura and I have known each other for, oh my gosh, how long? Like 15 years now, almost. Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
yeah. Which is crazy. I'm like, I've been in Texas a long time. I still do not own any cowboy boots though.
Good to know.
And so, but anyway, so back when we had met, like, I really, like, my whole identity was, I was in corporate America at this time. And so, what I thought my identity was like, I just wanted to work, like, I literally said 80 hours a week. Like, I wanted to make a ton of money. I wanted to go travel. I never wanted to get married or have a family. And because that was my identity. That's who I thought that, like, I had to be somebody, to be worth something. And so then what happened was, I got gotten laid off from my job a couple years later. Like, ended up starting to do this whole entrepreneur thing with my husband and I's business, and but didn't really know, like, what the heck I was doing. And then I'm, like, also pregnant at the time, end up getting married, I'm like having a kid, which we did decide to do. And but it's like, okay, so suddenly, like, okay, who am I? Like, now I'm not this person that I thought I was always gonna be. And that I thought I had defined myself, and that my worth was through. And so then it's like, okay, well, now I have to, like, define myself as a mom, right? So now I have to be, like, the best mom and do all the things and check all of the boxes. And so it was like, when I wasn't able to do that, because, oh my gosh, I'm not perfect, right? And plans change, especially when you throw a husband and a baby in there, and a business that you're trying to grow. Then it was like, I got to a very dark place where, it was like, I felt like, nobody was there to support. Like, I was all alone. Like, what did it really matter? Like, does anybody really care? And so it was, like, I think Laura and I had a couple conversations over this time, and it was, like I said, it was definitely not a good place to be mentally or physically, but I realized over the years, through a lot of, authentic relationships, like the one that Laura and I have, that, like, people do care, and that you don't have to do everything on your own, and that my identity didn't have to be in any of those things. Like, I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to get everything right 100% of the time, and that I was allowed to grow, and I was allowed to enjoy that growth process. And so it's like, fast forward to where I am today, like I said, 10-15 years later. I mean, it's like a total 180. And and I owe, really, relational networking, and or that concept, and those authentic relationships to that growth, and the fact that, like, I'm now secure in just who I am as a person, because we're not human doings, we're human beings. And so I'm allowed to just be who I am, and go through, live my life day to day and do the best that I can, and not have to worry about, like, living up to some standard that really I probably imposed on myself. And so so yeah, to be completely real and authentic, like, that's why that's very near and dear to my heart. And so anytime I'm honestly allowed to share anything about any of my story, I do, because I know that if I can impact just one person, like, it was worth it.
I without a doubt know you're impacting a lot of people with sharing this story. And I applaud and thank you for being so vulnerable with us today and sharing that, because it is so, I'm so proud of you. And I really am. I'm so proud of you. And I've been cheering you on all the way.
Mhm.
But I feel like there's a lot of people that can relate with various parts of your story, or maybe all of the story.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've all had those, peaks and valleys, because that is this thing called life. It's not this, it's not all unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah.
We'd like to believe that, and maybe some people show that on social media all the time, but that's not exactly what it is. And you do need, you're right, we're human beings. We need to be, and we
Mhm.
need to be with other beings.
Right.
And that's where those authentic relationships really can happen. And I mean, you guys know that, 5.5 years ago, I had to pivot. I keep saying 5.5, but it's actually almost 6 now. 6 years, I had to pivot my business online because of an autoimmune and Lyme diagnosis. And like what you described, Meredith, when you're, totally feeling in that really dark place, I was in my dark place at that moment, and my identity and my plans and everything were just gone. I could no longer drive and have this independence and get out of the house, and I
Mhm.
couldn't hold a conversation. I
Mhm.
was having trouble reading and having energy, and it was just all the things. And I have no problem talking about it, but to say it, it's like I don't like the energy attached to it. It was
Right.
crap. It
Yeah.
was crap, and it was really hard.
Mhm.
And like I describe it now, and you guys, we work together, so you know this terminology that I'm coming up. I was on the island of alone. I built the damn thing. I built it good too. I was locked in. I was the overachiever. I built it really well. And it's not a fun place to be. And if I look back, I've been on the island of alone before, where, when I've moved and I'm all alone, or I'm starting a new job, or I'm the first one starting this, or I'm the only woman in this male dominated industry and I'm really on the island of alone. If I really look back, there's all of these opportunities for an island of alone. But what got me off that island of alone? I didn't do it by myself.
Mhm.
No. I mean, yes, I had to decide and do the work, but
Yep.
what was really the motivating factor or the lifeline that got me off that island? Who was my little, safe life raft, as it were?
Yep.
It was somebody. It was
Right.
always
Those people
somebody. Or
showing up at your door and being like, "Come on, I'm bringing you food," or like, "Come on, we're going to do this." Yep.
yeah, or just someone smiling at me. Could have been a stranger just smiling at me or saying a kind word, and they have no idea they were, off that, getting me off that island of alone. But that's what I started realizing, and what I was really missing when I was feeling so isolated this most recent time with the diagnosis is I was craving community. And this is before COVID. So doing things virtually was really kind of, everyone was resistant to it. And so though COVID has been a horrible experience globally, the blessing for me is now everyone's okay with virtual. And now I'm connected again. Thank goodness I've got a tether and I don't have to be on this island of alone. And I can do relational networking in a space that serves me. And I can connect with people globally. That's a beautiful thing for me. So I realize what you're saying is, how do we get off from island of alone? How do we move from things being hard to easy? How do we move from having to feel like I'm the only one going through this,
Mhm.
or I'm the only one who has to do all the work in the job that I do, where I'm wearing every hat possible and I can't dare ask for help? Or if you're from my generation, you've heard, don't let them see you sweat. You just kind of lock in. You don't want to. You just can't do the thing. And at the time when I first heard that was great advice, but it's self-sabotaging and it is not really
Mhm.
productive. It's definitely
Mhm.
not healthy advice. I can tell you that right now. It's not really good healthy advice, mental health wise or physical health wise.
Mhm.
So I really think for me, relational networking is how you get that professional easy button. It's that tether off the island of alone. And it's where you two come in. You guys have been huge, huge lifelines for me. And I feel like you're huge lifelines right now by us having this conversation. And so I want to thank you for that. I mean, Meg, what do you think about this? I know you're really new to relational networking, but were there relationships that were lifelines for you, or are you popping up with any situations? As Meredith and I kind of gone down this path talking about this. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I tell you, you've been one of those people. I don't know that I felt like I was on an island of alone, but I know when I've been in some difficult situations, or feeling depressed or a dark place or whatever, and you who senses all that and may have been witness to all that, highly credit you with helping me.
Oh no.
She froze.
She's helping me. Talk about a good trailer for us to kind of like, no, what's the ending? The final can't end yet. We need to know what the ending is.
Join us next week.
Yeah, that's how I was watching the show last night. My husband and I were watching, like, they cannot end on that. They cannot leave us hanging with that. So I feel like we have that. So I'll go ahead and, yeah, I was going to say she's going to we'll wait, we'll bring Meg back up. So let's kind of piggyback on that. So this is the power of being authentic. If anyone thinks this is just being recorded, I know we got a LinkedIn viewer watching with us. No, it's real. This is real life.
It's real.
So it's real. This is the real deal. Yeah, it's all thing. It's all things. So Meredith, why don't you kind of have touched on this, but let's talk about, and I think Meg just jumped back in. Hold on. There she is. Okay. There you are. We were saying this is like the trailers that, like you're watching a good show, you're all into the show, and then all of a sudden it ends. And you're like, yeah, this is not where you can end. Yeah, you're just like, no, you got to tell us. So, all right, you were saying, if you remember, I know all the things technical probably took you off of it, but, please.
The war with the lifeline, and then you cut off.
But I think I was saying that, because when you build those relationships, and the authentic ones especially, who you can lean on when you need whatever it is. If it's, I am having trouble at work, I am having trouble getting motivated, whatever it is, because I know who I have relationships with that can help pull me back to whatever it is, reality, or, hey, let's work on this together or something. If I'm all by myself, I probably would not get anywhere to a happy place or whatever. Because you need these kind of relationships to boost you and to spark you. And when I was talking about, Meredith had mentioned spark from Down and Dirty Networking. I love that word, because I think when you're building a really authentic relationship, you do spark each other, and that way that it's real, that it's not just, hey, we're taskmasters getting our stuff done. But if you spark each other, that makes all the difference.
Oh, I love that. I love it when I get that spark of energy, but more importantly, what I love more than anything is being the spark for somebody else, or reigniting somebody's light from within. I find just so much joy in being able to do that for somebody, because I feel everyone's got a bright light that shouldn't be dimmed. And so I love that you use the word spark. I absolutely love that. So Meg, how for you has networking helped you personally or professionally, and especially through your career as a corporate professional? Where has networking really helped you?
I think because it helps in conversation. As I mentioned before, I'm not really one to start up conversation. And let's just say in the workplace, you have to, depending on what it is, whatever. I'm a project manager. So if I'm going to be working on a project, I need to talk with the people that I'm working with to achieve our end goal.
It seems kind of important.
A little bit. I forgot where I was going with that, but it's being able to converse with whoever it is, and to do it better. I think you need to build. You got to know who these people are. I think, or it helps. It helps. I mean, I could get on a call with all my team and go, "All right, where are we today? Check. Okay, see ya." And it just, you're getting stuff done, but at the end of it all, it's like, well, that was, let's not do that again. I think it's, you have to build some kind of community, some kind of relationship, and spark each other to get further. Maybe there's a checkbox at the end, but why don't we take it a little bit further? And how can we do that?
I love that. No, I love that. Yes, ding, jinx. I love that. It's actually a beautiful thing. And I think you're really touching on something incredibly important. It's not meaningful.
Mhm.
It's not meaningful. And it's why I've defined relational networking meaningful conversations that
Mhm.
lead to relationships, because
Mhm.
things have to be meaningful. It cannot just be a checkbox. It can't
Yeah.
just be a buy my stuff, which is a checkbox action. It can't be that. So I really appreciate you bringing that forward, and I love that perspective, especially from a corporate perspective.
Mhm.
Meredith, for you, how has networking helped you professionally? How would you build on what Meg said?
So I'm the opposite of you and Meg. I am a super extrovert. And it's so funny. I'm like my son, he's 6 and he has the same personality as me. Like he talks to everybody. So like I always have to tell him like, okay, don't go with random people. Like not everybody is like good. But I mean I love how outgoing he is though. Like it's awesome. But yeah, but because of that, for me, again, it was like I wanted to have more, or I guess my default from before was more of like these surface level relationships where I'm like, I wanted to kind of keep people at bay because there was things I didn't want to look at in myself that, okay, I didn't want to open a conversation, okay, like let's keep it very transactional. And so I think, Laura, what you had talked about a little bit ago with relational networking, as far as, it being focused on helping other people. I think that is like another huge way to define relational networking is by servant leadership. And I think that is what a huge component of what, I've gotten out of doing relational networking over the years. And even though, like, yes, I've only been in down and dirty networking for 2 years with doing relational networking. I've known Laura for a long time. So I was doing networking, but I was doing it more from a relationship based aspect. And so, but that's what has, like, to me, allowed me, like I said, to grow and to grow in the fact that I can more be a leader to say, okay, like, let me take the time to show you how to do this and grow you versus, okay, wait, oh my gosh, you're taking too long. Like I could have finished this like 2 hours ago, which is usually my default setting. And so, I mean, like, and that's so important, I mean, if you want to advance, like, I mean, whether you're an entrepreneur, and you have to start hiring people, or, you have to develop relationships with clients and vendors, or if you're in the corporate space and, you want to move up the corporate ladder, or like Meg talked about, you want to communicate with a team, or you want to move up to being a manager, whatever it might be. It's like you have to be able to take on that role, to take on that servant leader role, to say, okay, like, it's not all about me first. Like, how can I help you? Because lo and behold, in turn, like, it's helping you somehow, and you might not like necessarily be able to define it right then, but it is. And that's what's been huge for me, from, again, because I transitioned to being an entrepreneur a long time ago. And so that's what's been so crucial to me to, like I said, develop the relationships. I mean, really, honestly, one with my husband, because we're business partners. I mean, and, if that relationship is not working, the business is not going to go well. So, I mean, with that, and then, yeah, because we do have contractors working for us, and, just being able to put all that together, like, there's no way that I would have been able to do that if it was all about me, and I wouldn't have shifted my mindset around networking.
Oh, that's such powerful stuff. I mean, you guys are sharing so many golden nuggets, and I hope that all of you watching live and on replay are really capturing this. So, getting some good feedback in chat. So, thank you guys for that. So, if you have any other questions for Meg or Meredith, or comments, or please chime in and let us know. One question here as we're going in is: so next week is the Down and Dirty Networking virtual sneak peek event. And so this event doesn't happen very often, and this is the only time that we allow non-members to attend. And so, Meg, this is your very first time that you're going to be able to attend. So I'm curious, what are you most looking forward to?
I think it's to see how the members converse and interact with each other. People that I don't know besides you two. And just to see how you get that spark, I think. Yeah, I'm very excited to delve into that and see how it goes, and how you build this community, because like you said, it is a community, which it's not just a group of people, it's an actual community of people who do spark each other and bring their authentic selves into whatever it is. So I'm very excited to see how it works and what I can pick up from me, and it sparks me to open up more or want to learn more about something.
I love that. And I'm going to go ahead and just share why I love spark so much, because I love that you're using that word. And I'm excited to have you look at next week's sneak peek and get your feedback as a first timer in there. What exactly are you, what was your takeaway? But I want to share with you that just fun fact. I actually thought of naming Down and Dirty Networking. I'm using the word spark in the name. Because I loved that so much and I loved what it meant. But there's already a company, it's actually in Europe, that uses the name. And so I was like, okay, let's come up with something a little bit different, because I really appreciated what that was. But I'm excited to see what you think. And the reason we landed on the name Down and Dirty Networking is we cut all the fluff and we get to the thing you never have time to do. And that was what I kept hearing over and over. In traditional networking is we don't have time to have a conversation, or even in a corporate space. And Meg, you can attest to this. You're so busy doing the task. There's no time to just talk and get to know people.
Exactly.
And so if you're watching and you're thinking of being a first timer, I got you. I hope you would think about attending, because the format, you don't have, I take all the awkwardness out. Realize I told you I'm an introvert. I'm going to make this so easy. It's not going to drain you energetically. It's going to be super simple. Just trust me on this. And so my goal, come join Meg on there. But here's the thing is my goal is to raise your vibrational energy. Regardless of what happens. That is my goal, is to raise your vibrational energy. So I promise our time will be well spent together. So Meredith, you're a founding member. And so, we did a soft launch, December 2 years ago. And so January is officially 2 years since we officially launched to everybody else. And so, 2021 is when we really did that, if my math is right. So Laura, math is never good, but I think my math is right on that. So we officially kind of did that launch. So you've been a founding member from the soft launch that we did in December. So I'm curious, having been to a couple of these sneak peeks and definitely all of the member events and seeing all the different formats that we do, because that's another fun fact. Every member event, they're not meetings, but events, they're all different formats. But Meredith, as a founding member, what are you most excited about next week at the sneak peek?
Well, you said you were going to hula hoop, right? So that's what I'm excited about.
I'm excited to see that too. I don't think I can actually physically do a hula hoop, but
make sure Darren is there filming.
But don't be surprised if I pull that up next week. Now that you've planted that in my head, let me see how I can, we'll see what I come up with.
That would be awesome. So the interesting thing that popped into my head when you guys keep saying spark is, that I'm thinking about spark plugs in a car. And so, I was thinking, like, if you're in a networking group or, a job, that, I don't know if maybe everybody doesn't know this, but if your spark plugs need to be changed in your car, your engine will start, like your car will start doing like this, which means like, it's going, but not very efficiently. And, eventually then it's just going to totally die. And I want you to think about that. If that's the feeling that you're getting, from going to your networking group where it's kind of like, here we go. Then you need to change your spark plugs. and so no, and I love that, because that's what I look forward to getting from the meetings of, whether it's the member meeting or the sneak peek, either one is the same for me. Or there are new member celebrations as well, is that to me, like, it gives me that spark. And so it's interesting, because sometimes, like I said, I'll almost forget about, I even have the meetings till I look at my calendar. And honestly, sometimes I'll be like, oh God, like I want to get this done. Like this meeting is kind of interrupting, but then like, inevitably every single time, like I log in, and then, as soon as the meeting starts, like to the end, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like I'm so happy that I logged into this and that I was at this month, because it was either meeting somebody new or, like I said, it's forming more of an authentic relationship with one of the current members. And usually I come away with like a notes of ideas for my business as well, which is definitely a perk. So yeah, that's what I'm always excited about.
That's awesome. I love that. And so Meg's back on screen. So I think it's great, Meg, that, we're talking about, Meredith was talking about the word spark and building off how, spark plugs and how you can sputter a little bit when you're needing to change your spark plugs. And I'm like, yeah, I think the internet needs some spark plugs right now over there because poor Meg. Poor Meg's struggling with the internet, but we can all relate. We all have that technology. We love technology when it works, and when it doesn't, it's like, come on.
Yes.
No, but let's seriously think about that think about that analogy. So, but when you do have spark plugs that are firing on all, say you have an 8-cylinder car, like think about how fast and amazing it is to drive, right? And how like fast you go forward. So, I mean, if you think about that from, say you have like one person that pours into you like that, and that really gives you that spark. Okay, well, but think about having a whole community of those people. Like, think about how much faster and how much further you'll go.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. Yeah, mic drop. We're done. Okay, we're out. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing really to say above that. But as you're saying that, I mean, yes, I'm seeing all the images that you're creating in my head, but there's also an image that leans into that, which is having like, if we all had holding candles right now, right? But my candle's the only one that's lit. The only way that I can light your candle is to reach over and, let me do it this way instead of to my screen. Let me reach over, is that I would hand the candle and then let you put your candle and light from this and let it spark for you. And then you would take that candle and so on and so forth and so on. And so I feel like, as to kind of tie things up to what we're talking about, or to bring it full hula hoop circle, is that it's about being the spark for yourself, getting that spark for yourself, but being that spark for somebody else and being that light and allowing it to just really vibrate and be incredibly brilliant and really shine. And I think that networking, those are not words I would have ever said about networking prior to this awareness of relationship. And it's so amazing when I was doing the corporate trainings and kind of doing more of the relationship focus. I hadn't really come up with the term of relational networking and defined it quite as fully as I have now, but I was still operating in that space. But when I would do these workshops at the corporate level, everyone was lighter, everyone was brighter, work was more fun. I think morale was better, productivity was higher. And so everybody just kind of really loved it. So I feel like you guys are really hitting on a lot of different things that I've seen evidence of that being true. So if you've ever thought that networking doesn't work for you, I always suspect you might not have been working it correctly for you. And that's something I've learned. When I wasn't working it correctly, it was just not working for me. But when I did it more correctly for me and more authentic for myself, to get back to kind of our topic, that's when everything changed. And that's how I've been able to forge some of these very long lasting and very precious relationships. And there are people that'll have an authentic relationship in the moment of a conversation and they move on, but that conversation was meaningful and it was impactful, and I still will remember it. And so it doesn't matter that it didn't develop into a relationship. It still had power and it still had value, and there was still spark. It still ignited something in me, or maybe I was able to do that for them. So I hope as people are hearing this, they're maybe reframing networking a little bit differently. So, I really hope that's helpful. And I just want to thank you guys for sharing. And so as we're wrapping up here, ladies, do you have any final words that you'd like to share with anybody with regards to, how to build these authentic relationships, or, what they can expect from the spark, or, what to get excited about, anything that we need to let them know? So Meg, I'll start with you.
I think you need to start with intent, right? I mean, you're going to build a relationship with somebody, understand your why behind what you're doing it for. So, I'm very excited to join this community. Not just because I not to just say, hey, look at me, I'm part of this community, but for a real reason. It's to not only build authentic relationships, but figure out how I can be more authentic in my relationships as well. So that's why I think starting with intent, when you're building some kind of relationship and joining some kind of community, understanding the why behind it is key.
Oh, I love that. It's so beautiful. I'm so glad you brought that forward. Thank you so much. The power of why. Yeah, that power of why and intent. It's such a good word. Oh my gosh, I love that, Meg. Thank you so much for sharing that. Meredith, what would you do to add on that? And last words that you'd want to leave with our viewers watching live right now, or anyone watching on replay?
Last word, hula hoop.
Authentic hula hoop.
Authentic hula hoop. It's a thing. It's a thing.
No, my last thing would just be to say that, remember there could be a lot of people swimming in darkness for one reason or another. And, by showing up and creating and being authentic, and creating a relationship with that person, that you could be the light in their darkness. And so always remember that.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I think that's just a beautiful way for us to end. You can be someone's light. You can be their professional easy button, or you might be able to find what you need. You might find the lightness that you're looking for, or you might find that professional easy button that you're needing. And God, why do things have to be hard? Meredith knows this. And Meg, you know this too. My theme for last year was fun and easy. And because I was tired of things being hard, just tired of it being hard. And so if you're tired of things being hard, this is a way to get to easy road. Let's get to easy. Where do we get to fun and easy and make that so simple? So ladies, thank you so very much for sharing your heart. You spending all this time with us. I can't believe it's gone by. We've been here over an hour. So this is awesome. I can go on and on. And what a blessing and a privilege for everybody that's watching to be able to get to know you in this way. So I'm going to go ahead and put you ladies backstage for a second while we wrap up. So everyone say thank you in chat for Meredith and Meg for joining us. So thank you both so much. Wow. Wasn't that amazing? Aren't those women just the most dynamic professionals? I love being able to share my special network with all of you because they're worth knowing. And so if you'd like to get to know and connect more with Meredith and Meg, chime in chat, and I'll make sure to happily get you connected. Or better yet, if you'd like to be able to know more about them and connect with more amazing people just like them, what I would encourage you to do is to go ahead and put #sneak peek. Let's see if I can use my words. And you will be able to get an invite to our virtual sneak peek event. And you can have conversations with fabulous people like these two and so many more. You will get a personal invite to that sneak peek next week. It's happening next Wednesday. Registration is now open, so make sure to put #sneak peek. You should see it on the scroller. And this is your way to reserve your spot for the event happening January the 18th at noon Central Standard Time, which is only a few days away. So put #sneak peek to test drive what a 100% relational networking experience can do for you. Okay, networker, I hope this was helpful. If so, let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up or tag a friend that could use this tip today, or that you would like to have join you at the sneak peek event next week. So make sure to share all the things and stay tuned for more tips and videos. I will be going live every day leading up to the sneak peek next Wednesday, and I will be going live after the sneak peek. I have a few more special guests joining me throughout these next days, so make sure to tune in. A big thank you again to Meg and Meredith, and I look forward to seeing you. Remember to spark somebody. Remember, it's about that authentic hula hoop. Thanks for watching, and happy networking.